Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. And this is Where Are They Now? Or more specifically, the newest version of Where Are They Now, which is kind of a mix between the last two versions. If you missed it, Where Are They Now is a series segment that I've been doing on this channel once a month for the past 2 years-ish. I don't know exactly how long, but somewhere in that range. It started with being originally a look back at the reviews I had done a year before, so in June I would take a look at last June's reviews and then go over where those games were. Then it shifted I did that for around a year plus or so, and then after that I shifted to a format where I took a look at the past, took a look at the past 5 years with the Junes, selecting individual games here and there and just talking about how and where they were. This is going to be a bit of a mishmash of those two together, because there's a variety of reasons why neither format has worked for me perfectly. This is still an experimentation. It will always be an experimentation. Anything and everything I do on this channel, some things I'll do and then they'll stay around for a long time. Other things I'll do and then see how I feel about those things, and some may stay, some may not. I'm realizing I probably need to do a random question video soon because I enjoy doing those. Those are another once-a-month series. Anyways, this is Where Are They Now? What I'm going to be doing right now is a slight combination of the two formats. I'm going to be looking at all the games I played last year. Every single game that was new to me. Specifically, every new to me game in last July of 2023. I'm also going to take out every new to me game at July of 2019, 5 years ago. So I'm going to look at the last year and 5 years ago, looking specifically at games that were new to me in that month, and then talking about where they fared. I will be going through some things very quickly, because some things don't have a lot of interesting information, and then some things a bit more in depth as to why the change. So the goal of the series is always the same that it, always was, which is to not just focus on, hey, I got this game that's so exciting, and I played it for 2 weeks, and I love it, it's amazing, but rather, is that still true a year from now? Is that still true 5 years from now? How do games fare over time? I am not someone who believes that every game needs to last forever, but I do believe that it's useful information about which games stood the test of time. And that's the point of this series. So with that, and I have notes over here because there's too many games to go over otherwise. But with that, let's go ahead and go through these games. And there's 4 sections to go through. There's going to be games that were not for me when I played them. I'm going to start with July of 2023. I'm going to go through all the games that were new to me. There's roughly 40 or so games that were new to me in July 2023. I'm telling you, 2023 is the year I played the most board games ever. I don't know if I'll ever achieve those numbers, but I'll try. This year, I'm certainly not. But anyways, we have around 40 new to me games in July 2023. I'll be going over all 40 of those, but I've sorted them into buckets, and the first bucket is going to be the games that simply weren't for me. I won't be heavily going into why these weren't for me, just because I need to keep this video a reasonable time frame. But to start with, just a bunch of games that weren't for me that I played last year. There was Farms Race. I played Farms Race. It was an okay Catan-esque nuclear game. I had fun with it, but not a game I'm going to pull out or prioritize. There's Maps of Mystera. A little too convoluted. Interesting mechanisms. I guess I am talking about the games. Maps of Mystera, a little too convoluted for what it was. Still an enjoyable time, but not one I need to keep. There was a Dragon Bond Quest. Dragon Bond Quest is a game you actually haven't seen because they kind of took it back and they're reworking it. It was a game. I'm not going to heavily go into it. It's a game that was a prototype. I gave them fairly negative feedback on the experience. That's more complicated. It wasn't fairly negative. It was negative enough experience. Negative enough feedback on the experience. Apparently, they got the same feedback from other people, and they decided to rework the game. So that's going to be Dragon Ball Quest. We also have Timeline Twist. I played Timeline Twist. I thought it was interesting, and I thought it was more complicated and not any better than regular Timeline, so I'd rather just play Timeline. We have Floating Floors. I thought it was an interesting little element of dexterity management, but not enough of a game for me, a little bit more focused on balancing things as you move around the board. There's some mechanics going on, but the mix didn't work for me. We have Defrag. Defrag is from a small box series of games. I enjoyed Sirens in the small box series, but Defrag and 16 Candles were not for me, and I'm realizing 16 Candles, or 16 Candies. 16 Candies, I don't believe it's written down here, but I'm pretty sure I played it in the same month. Unless I played it like a few weeks earlier or a few weeks later, that's possible that I may have missed the month. But either way, a few days even could matter. But anyway, 16 Candies and Defrag, both of them just weren't rewarding enough for me. We have Wild Tales, a Pirate Legacy game from Buttonshy. I thought this was way too complicated for the payoff and just not what I need to continue to play. We have Inside Job from Cosmos, a combination of hidden trader and trick taking that ultimately felt like not the best of either and the mediocre at both. We have Vampire the Masquerade Milan Uprising. This is from the Taboo system. I like the Taboo Bad Karmas and the Curse of the Zodiac. Vampire the Masquerade felt a little bit too just like using an app. I felt like you're using an app to just navigate around things, and I didn't feel rewarded enough by the experience. So it was an okay experience. I'm happy to try it again in the final version, but the version I played was an okay game, not for me. We have River Wild, another button shy game that wasn't for me. It was fine. It wasn't even bad. It was a decent game, but just there's decent and there's better. This one didn't feel rewarding enough when I played through the trying to create a little river and score as many points as possible. And then lastly, this Ultimate Treehouse, which was not best Treehouse ever, which I do like. Ultimate Treehouse was sorry. Ultimate Treehouse was... there were some elements. It was a kid's game, and there were elements of it that I thought could be better or could make it more engaging. As it was, it felt a little too procedural. Excellent components, excellent rulebook. Game itself felt a little too procedural and not rewarding enough. And so those are the games in July of 2019, July of 2023, that were new to me, that simply, there's never hesitation, they just weren't for me. I can enjoy them, but they just weren't, they were never going to be in the conversation. The next list is a large list, and it's more complicated. This is a list I find myself stuck in constantly, which is the list of games that I very much enjoy, and then these are all games that I just didn't feel the need to pick up necessarily, although there's one or two caveats, and we'll get to those. But effectively, they are not games I ever owned. They're games I enjoyed. I did like them. In most cases, I'm not going to get them. In some cases, they are prototypes that I might still be waiting on, but I enjoyed all of these. I recommend all of these. These are fun experiences, but doesn't mean I necessarily feel the need to own them. And to that end, we have Lucky Numbers. This is a little game of just trying to proxy little numbers onto your board, creating little patterns. It's cute, it's fun, it's simple. The teach versus the payoff is totally there. It's a little on the light side. I get elements of that game from other things. Even Welcome to the Moon will have elements of it, so I don't feel the need for it, but definitely a fine game. We have Raz, A Dance for Love. This is complicated. This is a prototype that I enjoyed and has since gone significant rework and been signed to a publisher. So I enjoyed Raz, A Dance for Love. I can't tell you where I feel about it now because I haven't played it in the newest version and I don't know anything about it, so that may be a game I pick up. It may not be, but I definitely enjoyed. Similarly, we have Rogue Angels, same camp over there. I played Rogue Angels. I enjoyed it. I think it's a fine game. The issue I have there is campaign games are overwhelming. Ultimately, with Rogue Angels, I like it. I don't think I'd back it. I have too many... Well, I know I didn't back it. I have too many games that are asking for my attention, but if they did send me a copy, and I hope they do, you cover the game, if they do send me a copy, I think there's a decent chance it gets tabled. I definitely enjoyed it. There's always that weird balance of, do I want to put money into this or do I want to play this? Because you're giving up time, space, mental headspace of the rules, money, all those things. Some of those barriers, if you remove them, like the cost of the game, which is obviously a very privileged position to be in, if you remove some of those barriers, some games become a yes when they would otherwise become a no. That's Rogue Angels. I definitely enjoyed it, but it's just too many campaign games. That's the main issue I have. We have Galaxy Postman. I thought Galaxy Postman was fun. It was a pick up and deliver element of the game, but it felt like Xia Legends of a Drift System lighter, and I'd rather just play Xia Legends of a Drift System. That was Galaxy Postman. We have Fire Siege. Fire Siege was very interesting. Fire Siege is another one that, I liked Fire Siege. The biggest issue I have there is, would I play that or would I play other games? I still think I would choose the Loop over Fire Siege any day of the week, which makes it a little trickier. But I definitely enjoyed Fire Siege, and I may end up playing in the future, but right now I just know that I enjoyed it. We have Double Connect. Double Connect was kind of fun, actually. Is the one I think it is? Yeah, it's a kind of Spot It, but with a game element to it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. It takes Spot It and gamifies it. Don't know if I need it, but honestly, I should probably consider getting it. I wonder, my kids enjoy Spot It. I can see them enjoying Double Connect. I might pick up Double Connect, reflecting on games I played last year. We have Flame and Fang. Flame and Fang I liked. I liked it a lot more when I first started. The more I played it, the more it kind of shifted down for me. This was a cooperative / solo game of trying to defeat a bunch of dragons across a sequence of missions. I enjoyed it, but again, it got a little repetitive as I played through it, and ultimately it ended up in a spot where I enjoyed it, but I don't necessarily need it. We have Next Station Tokyo and London. These are tricky because I play them on Board Game Arena. I enjoyed both of them, and I've been meaning to pick them up for a while. I actually have Next Station Paris coming my way right now, so I don't have those two, but I have the newest one heading my way, and I do like the series. I don't know if it's one that is a keeper for me, but it's definitely a roll and write that I enjoyed. We have Aethermon Collect. I liked Aethermon Collect. I don't know if it needs to be a keeper for me, but I liked it. It's a very simple set collection game with a different element of navigating a grid. I think it's the kind of game that every time I play it, I enjoy it, but I'm not inspired to pull it off the shelf, which is why it's in the I enjoy category, not in the I need to get category. We have Mistwin. Mistwin's another one that I want. I like it. I give it a 4 to 5. The issue there is that it was a $100 game for a game that I don't feel was going to give me $100 of playtime. I think it's the kind of game I'd pull out, similar to Xia. It's a pick up and deliver game that I actually like, which is very rare for me. I think Mr. did an excellent job at making it a very good game that's also very rules light and very very thinky as far as what you do, and also not too long. A lot of good things. But at the end of the day, it was like $100 for the game, and I just didn't feel it was worth it for me personally. So it's one that I kind of still hope I get my hands on one day, but just was deprioritized for me. We have After Us. After Us was an interesting one from Panasaurus Games. I thought the gameplay was rewarding and enjoyable, but not, oh my gosh, you need to have this. That's what it, rewarding and enjoyable, not, oh my gosh, you need to have it. I liked it. I had fun with it. We have Q-Birds. Q-Birds, another from Panasaurus Games that I also, again, I like Q-Birds. I don't think I ever reviewed it on the channel, but I enjoyed Q-Birds, but it's still, like, it's a lighter game. It's on BGA. It's a good place to play it, honestly, because I think in real life, it's not as rewarding. It's a little too much card management, but I do enjoy Q-Birds, but don't feel the need to own. Then we get into the kept and left category. These are games that I kept them at first for a while, and then at some point over the past year, they left. But I had the intent of keeping them, and we'll start with the one that actually kind of was fine, which is Stranger Things, The Upside Down. That's one where I got it to play through the 2 missions, and I played through the 2 missions, and then I got rid of it. It was never going to be a keeper game, and you could replay it. It is replayable. But for me, it was never going to be a replayable game. It was always going to be a game I played, and then got rid of it, and so I played it, and then got rid of it. We have Caesar's Empire. I really like Caesar's Empire. Caesar's Empire and Millefiori were 2 games I played around the same time. I thought they both fell into a similar camp as far as the lightness of it, but yet strangely compelling reward. My biggest issue with Caesar's Empire was a little too linear in the way it operated, versus Millefiori was a little bit more variable, and so ultimately I kept one and got rid of the other. But I did keep both at first, played them both like a bunch of times since the reviews, but at a certain point I was like, you know what, I think I've seen enough from Caesar's Empire. I'm sorry, Chrissy, I know you like it. I like it a lot. It's a good game. I think it's very enjoyable. It was 2 very similar experiences that I played in a roughly similar time frame that eventually made me realize I don't need both of them. We have Noobs in Space. That's another one where I played it until I finished it, and then I got rid of it. So I don't know if you count that as leaving, but I kept it, finished it, and then it left. And we have Race to the Raft. Race to the Raft was an interesting one. That I really liked my first place of Race to the Raft, and I love the idea of the crowdfunding campaign since I first saw it. But when I finally did table it and continued to play through it, I thought it was very enjoyable, but felt very samey every single time you played. I don't know if I felt a strong sense of different strategy that you would engage. It's kind of like you have a tile, you put down the tile that fits best, and then you move your cats along the way trying to get to the end. Which, granted, you can make any game that I love make it sound silly by just repeating it. Hey, Terraforming Mars, you grab a card, you see what fits best in the engine, you play it, rinse and repeat until you win. You can make any game sound silly, but ultimately it's the feelings those games give us, and in the case of Race to the Raft, I really liked it at first, and it kind of went down over time. It became less enamored. I became less enamored with the decision making in Race to the Raft. And so those are the 4 games that I kept and then they left. As far as the games that I kept and then stayed, we have a bunch of those. So we're actually doing fairly well as far as my decision making in July. Again, it's tricky because I don't consider a game leaving a bad decision. I do consider a game staying that I think will stay. And then if it leaves shortly after, and I didn't think that, I consider that a relatively bad decision. But even in the case of Caesar's Empire, I'm pretty sure I even said in my review, I'm kind of keeping it for now. I don't know how it'll go. We'll see. I'm testing the waters. So there's not really, Race to the Raft is the only mistake I made in the sense of where it was versus where it ended up from the games that left. Versus the games that I kept and stayed, there are a bunch. There's Turtle Splash, a kids game from Lucky Duck Games that my kids love playing, and my kids still love playing it. I think they'll outgrow it, so I do not think it's a forever game, but for right now, it's still charming and compelling. We have Trailblazers, which I love. I love Trailblazers from Bitewing Games. I still love that game. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I haven't played the new expansion yet, and I need to do that, so I'm a little behind on that. We have Blob Party, a great party game, played for the first time in July, because that's what this whole video is. But I love Blob Party and think it's still fun. It's still a game that I constantly pull out or talk about or try to encourage people to play, because it's just a good time. We have Everdell Farshore. Everdell Farshore is a little bit of a controversial one, because I know it's a very expensive game that's basically Everdell with minor differences, and people felt that Game Salute was almost milking them to a degree. But I will say, Everdell Farshore is excellent. I don't think you need both. I don't think you're going to be left out if you don't have it. But if you are someone who's new to the hobby, I think Everdell Farshore might arguably be the better one to pick up if you're looking for a fully encompassed experience. I think Everdell's better if you're going to expand it. I think Everdell Farshore is better if you're looking at base game to base game. They're both fantastic, and I definitely recommend Everdell Farshore, and it's staying strong over here. We have Nana. I love Nana. Dear Lord, I have the Trio version, but I've played Trio like 7,000 times. It's not true. I probably played Trio like 75, 80 times in the past year. I love that game. I play it a lot. It's very accessible. My kids love it. I love it. I play with friends. I play with kids. It's a good game. That's going to be Trio. Excellent game. My City Roll and Build. I've played that game like 30 plus times by now. It's staying around. I probably need to get a new one because at some point I'm going to run out of pads, but it's an excellent iteration of My City and one that I thoroughly enjoy. We have Milli Fiori, which I mentioned already. I still enjoy Milli Fiori. I do not think it's a forever game. You fast forward 5 years from now, do not know if it's still here. But for right now, I still get fun from the experience, and it's still one that has managed to last the year while getting played consistently. In fact, all of these, Turtle Splash has been played, Trailblazer has been played, Block Party has been played, Everdell Far Shore has been played. All of these so far are games I have continuously played since reviewing them. Because in my line of work slash hobby slash whatever you want to call it, it is very reasonable for me to keep a game and then a year from now, I may not have played it since the review. That does happen. It doesn't happen a ton, but it certainly does happen. None of the games we're talking about today, I still have two more, none of the games that we're talking about today have that problem. All of these have been played multiple times since I've reviewed them. Arguably the one that's been played the least, maybe Milli Fiori. I may have only played Milli Fiori twice since reviewing it. Possibly. Far Shore I played a bunch. Block Party I played a ton. Nana I played a ton. My City Roll Build I played a ton. Turtle Splash. Maybe Turtle Splash I've only played a few times. That's possible. I don't know. Trailblazers I played a ton. And the last two, we have Roll to the Top Journeys, which I played a lot, not a ton, but Roll to the Top Journeys from All Play. It's still fun. It's a guilty pleasure roll ride. It's not particularly amazing, but it's just fun and simple, and I play that a bunch and still enjoy it. And then we have Ancient Realm from Button Shy, which is great. It's one of my favorite Button Shy games, and it's been a consistent solo pick for me to take wherever, and I need to find my copy. I think I brought it on the last trip I went on. I don't know where it is. But Ancient Realm is delightful, and I've played that a bunch of times as well. So, like, the least I've played a game here might be Milli Fiori and Turtle Splash. I may have played, like, only 2 or 3 times each. So, this has been a good year for the games that I kept in July 2023. Which takes us to 5 years ago. And the goal for doing it 5 years ago is so that the series can have some degree of longevity. I'm not just looking at it every single year going through the same games. Rather, you're going to see the games show up a year later, and you'll see them show up 5 years later, which does means they're not being talked about all the time, but they are being talked about, and you get to see how those games, 5 years from now, when we talk about Turtle Splash, Trailblazers, Blob Party, Everdell Far Shore, Nana, My City Roll and Build, Milli Fiori, Roll to the Top Journeys, and Ancient Realm, how many of those are still around? Ooh, this could be a fun aspect. Here's what we're gonna guess. Okay, we're gonna guess before we move into the 5 year section. We're going to take my own personal predictions of which of those 5 are still around. I think Trailblazers is still around. Blob Party still around, Everdell Far Shore still around, Nana's still around, or it's Nana/Trio, My City Roll and Build still around. Oh, Milli Fiori I don't think is still around. And I don't think, so Turtle Splash is gone, Milli Fiori is gone. Roll to the Top Journeys. 5 years from now, am I still playing that? I think it's simple enough. It might be like my gateway rolling right at this point. I think Roll to the Top Journeys is still here 5 years from now. I don't know if I'm right. I don't know. And then Ancient Realm's almost certainly here. I mean, there's Button Shy games that I've loved that to that degree. Skulls of Seldik and Circle the Wagons and Sprawlopolis have not left my collection since I've loved them. So things can change. But honestly, I think we are leaving Milli Fiori and Turtle Splash, and the rest are still here. That's my prediction for 5 years from now. Granted, that might bias me when I'm trying to get rid of games, but I think that might bias me for the next year. 4 years from now, I don't know if I'm going to remember that I did this. But I will look at it 5 years from now when I refilm this video. Anyways, from 5 years ago, July of 2019, I played far fewer games, so this segment of the list is going to be significantly smaller. I think I played like 211 games in July of 2023, and I played like 58 games, not games, plays. I have 211 plays and 58 plays in those 2 periods, so you can see how my gaming has escalated. But 5 years ago, so we have a few things. We have in the not for me category. Again, these are all games that were new to me in July of 2019. We have Haven, which I barely remember. I want to say it's from Sleeping Gods Below, right? It's from, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name. Sleeping Gods, Above and Below, is from, I'm blanking on the name, but from them. Haven, I played it. I don't remember it that well. I just remember not being entranced by it. PAX Premiere, did not like it, unfortunately. I think it's a very clever game design. I think it's very well done. Ultimately, for me, I felt there was way too much card reading required of me to stay on top of what the other players were doing, and that's not an experience that I particularly love. I'm sure PAX Mirror fans will shred me for this because there are certain types of games that have a very dedicated fan base. Ultimately, I'm not saying PAX Mirror isn't good. I think it's a very good game. It wasn't for me. I just didn't feel compelled to play it. I played it twice, by the way. I played it a second time because my friend was really into it. I was like, I'll play it again. And I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it. We have Rise of Tribes. Did not like Rise of Tribes from Breaking Games. Did not like it at all. I played it, and I don't know what it was about the experience, but I super hated it. But it wasn't even a bad game. It's just something about the experience did not resonate with me. Games I enjoyed but did not feel the need to keep. And we have an asterisk here. There's Renegade. Renegade is designed by the YouTuber who does Ricky Royale designed Renegade from, I think it might be from Renegade. Did Renegade do Renegade? I don't remember. Either way, inspired by Mage Knight, Renegade was enjoyable, and I didn't think there was ever a world in which I would pull it out over Mage Knight. It was too abstract in the theme of what it was doing. But I did enjoy it. I thought it was very well done. And then Crusaders was another one that I really enjoyed and did not end up picking up or keeping. I am more intrigued by it because they now have the expansion for it. My biggest issue with Crusaders was I enjoyed it, but I didn't feel it would have longevity. I thought it would be a little repetitive if you played it again and again. And the expansion makes me more interested in it, so I am kind of it's kind of on my radar. It's on my radar as far as things go, but that's gonna be Crusaders and the expansion. And I have 3 games in the kept and left section. These are games I kept for a while and then they left. We have Cryptid, which I kept for a few years before eventually getting rid of. I actually played it again last year and really enjoyed it. But the issue with Cryptid was that the person who plays it the most is going to have a very clear heads up over the people who didn't. Because of the nature of the deduction and the patterns that will evolve as you play it, I think it rewards repeated plays in a way that made it not a game that I kept for a long time. It's one that I'm happy to play whenever, one that I don't feel the need to own. Oh, I did own it for 2 years and then I got rid of it. We have Enchanter. Enchanter's from Mythic Games, Mythic Games, right? Enchanter's, it was not previously Mythic Games, it was some other company that Mythic Games did the whole Phoenix line and whatnot. Mythic Games needs a Phoenix line, but Enchanters was a game that I enjoyed. I held on to it for a while because I thought I would play it more, and I just didn't table it enough. It was a very big box game with tons of like modules and things and ways to play and all these different races and factions and different ways to play cooperatively, competitively. It was very... I can see the appeal of it. I did see the appeal of it. I kept it for a reason. But ultimately, it was one that the big box that it was did not inspire it being played enough, and I did move on from it, unfortunately. And then we have Onirim. Well, not to say unfortunately. It's fine. You're allowed to move on from games. And we have Onirim, which was part of the Oniverse. The Oniverse is a series of games I've had in my collection for years. I had it in my collection for like 5-6 years, and then eventually I did eventually get rid of the entire Oniverse. I felt I had played it out so much that, because it was one of my favorite solo game series, but for whatever reason, I got to a point where I felt, you know what, I don't need to continue playing this. I've enjoyed them, I've played them, I've gone through all the modules, and it's time to let them go to the next person. I had a few comments saying I'm going to regret it and want them back, and that might be true, but for right now, I have very fond feelings for the entire Oniverse, and it's not a series that I need to hold on to, but it is a series that I have fond feelings of. And then from there we have the games that kept and stayed from July of 2019, and there's only one in that category, and it's not one you necessarily think. It's Unstable Unicorns. I played it for the first time in July 2019. My kids love it. They still play it, and so Unstable Unicorns is safe and sound in the collection. Well, in the kids' collection, but similar enough. Anyways, that has basically been your Where Are They Now for the month of July, specifically for July 2023 and July 2019, taking a look at all the games that were new to me in those months and seeing how things fared over time. A lot of things that weren't for me, a lot of things I enjoyed, a few things that I kept and left, and then a bunch of things that I kept and actually held on to across those 2 years worth of stuff. In any case, until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.